G'day and welcome to ReDriven. Now, the Toyota HiAce, a vehicle that is apparently not tough or masculine enough for many tradies, hence why they all seem to be buying 4x4 dual cab utes, yet at the same time, it's not cool enough for the hipsters that want to embrace the van life lifestyle, hence why they generally buy Volkswagen Transporters and a various range of different Mercedes-Benz vans. But are the tradies and the hipsters wrong? Is this thing actually quite good? Many people seem to think so because this has been this segment's highest seller for more than 20 years. Or are they right? Is this just a bit shit? Like, what actually goes wrong with them? What do they cost to own and operate? What do they like to live with on a daily basis? And most importantly, should you buy one? Let's find out. Now, before we get deep into the HiAce, I should mention that in this video, we're going to be focusing on the Australian variants of the 5th generation H200 series HiAce. If you're not from Australia, don't freak out or panic because everything we're going to be going over should relate to HiAces in your local market. Also, I should mention that even though we call this a HiAce here in Australia, depending on where you're watching this from, you might know this as a commuter or a quantum or even a bongo brawny. I'm serious, these are called bongo brawnies. It's kind of cool. Also, while we're talking about names, I should mention that this HiAce, the owners of this particular car have named this Vinny. So ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Vinny. Now also, to keep this video as objective as we possibly could, we've reached out to a bunch of different HiAce owners groups. Yes, they actually do exist. We've spoken to Toyota specialist mechanics and technicians. We've trawled through what feels like hours of different reliability surveys, customer satisfaction reports, a whole bunch of different forums. So this video is basically the culmination of all of that information. Now, this generation HiAce has been with us since way back in 2005, and in that time it's received a bunch of different updates and it's available in a variety of different flavours. But to give you an overview, here's me doing a voiceover over like a montage of B-roll images. In terms of body stylings, look, obviously the HiAce is a van, but it has been available in long wheelbase or LWB form, like Vinny here, as a super long wheelbase and as a commuter bus, and from 2015 as a 5-seat crew van. The amount of doors these body stylings will have will range from 3 to 4 to 5 doors, again depending on the variant. Engine-wise, you'll have the choice of either a 2.7 litre petrol or 3 litre turbo diesel powering the rear wheels via either automatic or manual transmissions. As far as the updates go, small tweaks have been made along the way, with the most notable changes occurring firstly in 2011, which included a small boost in power and torque for the turbo diesel, anti-lock brakes became a standard feature across the range instead of being an optional extra, and the exterior styling was altered slightly, and the interior styling was also updated. The second update came around 2014 and added some updated safety and tech features and some even more revised styling. Another update in 2015 saw a tiny bit more power and torque bestowed upon the petrol engine, while the fuel efficiency improved by up to 12%. A 6-speed automatic transmission replaced the old 4-speed, while the levels of tech and safety improved yet again. Now look guys, obviously we love to go over every specific detail of the HiAce and the updates and variants, but that would just take forever. So instead, we've gathered all of that information and we've put it in our very handy and completely free ReDriven cheat sheets. Our cheat sheets are invaluable as they provide a full breakdown of the car's model range, its common problems, what you need to look out for before handing over your hard-earned cash, how much of that cash you should be handing over, and so much more. Check it out at redriven.com or in the link below. Now guys, if you're already a HiAce expert or you own a HiAce and you've noticed in this video that we've missed something major, please let us know in the comments. Obviously, look, we're going to do our best to cover as much as we can with the HiAce, but if we do miss something kind of big that you feel is important, let us know in those comments. Okay, how's the exterior? Okay, look, from a design aspect, I personally feel this is one of the areas that the HiAce kind of falls over. See, the problem with it is, I have friends that own small businesses and they're face-to-face with clients all the time, and they've all gone and bought European vans because in their opinion, the HiAce just looks a bit too utilitarian. It's a bit too much like a van, whereas the European ones look a bit more stylish, which is partly the reason that a lot of hipsters don't like these as their van life go-to transport, because again, it just looks a bit too ordinary. There's something about the European vans that doesn't shout that you're actually homeless and in desperate need of a shower. But on the flip side of that, my tradie mates, they all go and buy 4x4 dual cab utes, which is interesting because this is far more practical and they have no intention of, or many of them have no intention of ever going off-road in their 4x4 dual cab utes. But they don't buy these because they don't feel that they look, tough or masculine enough. Which is funny because I find it interesting that tradies and hipsters who apparently don't care about how they look or their image are kind of obsessed about how their work vehicle or their car looks. Interesting. Now guys, if you are in the market to buy one of these, there are a few little things you need to watch out for. First up, look for any signs of accident damage or even worse, dodgy repair work. Look at all these panel gaps all around the entire vehicle. Check the paint, does it all match in color and texture? If there's any signs of dodgy repair work or serious accident damage, walk away. Minor stuff's fine, like it's a HiAce, it's designed to be knocked around a bit, but yeah, any major damage, yeah, don't go near it. Also, try to get an idea of what the van's been used for during its life cycle. If it's been used for like really long distance travel, again, go over the front of it for accident damage because it may have hit some wildlife, and kangaroos don't bounce and they do cause damage. Look for accident damage. And then again, on the flip side of that, if it has been used in like built up metropolitan areas as like a delivery van and it's been doing heaps of metro kilometres and lots of stopping and starting, look all over it for, you know, signs that it's maybe hit a building or another car or at worst a pedestrian. Now in terms of like common faults and problems that hit the HiAce, we'll be covering those in a second. So how's the interior? Well look, again, compared to some of its European rivals, it's pretty utilitarian in here. There's lots of hard plastics everywhere, but like this was never designed to be a luxury vehicle. It is designed to be a bit of a workhorse van. So the fact that it's got hard plastics, I think is good because it means that they handle wear and tear quite well. But even in saying that, this thing's got well over 200,000 Ks on it. The seats still feel really good. Wear and tear up here, okay, the plastic steering wheel is getting a bit, glossy and losing some of its texture. The, shifter boot here is kind of falling apart a little bit. That's a bit glossy and gross. But all in all, like for what this thing's done, it's pretty good. But in saying that, in terms of ergonomics, it can be interesting. Even getting in and out can be quite the challenge for less mobile people, and there's not a lot of steering wheel or seat adjustment. Even with this one, because it's got a battery in the back, I can't slide the seat any further back, and this, I feel quite cramped up. So ergonomics wise, interesting. One good thing, but it's got like the perfect sports car, performance car kind of positioning for the gear stick here. It's like right there, so when you're driving it feels like I don't know, it's a mid-engined rear-wheel drive manual car. It's basically a performance car, and this feels performance car-y. It's not, it's van, but yeah, you know what I mean. Actually, speaking of seat adjustment, the amount of seat adjustment that you can get in a HiAce is going to depend on the year model and specification. The later HiAces had more seat adjustment than the earlier HiAces. So if you want seat adjustment, get a later model one. Look, overall for the interior, look, some vans are starting to feel almost like nice SUVs inside. This doesn't. This feels like a van. So how's the tech? Well look, the levels of tech got better and better with each incarnation and each evolution of the HiAce, but even in its final variant, the tech was pretty shit. But for an overview of what tech to expect, here's me doing a voiceover. The tech that you can expect to find should include a 2-speaker stereo, air conditioning, a CD player, central locking, power windows, mirrors and steering. An LCD multi-function screen and cruise control were fitted post-2014, and Bluetooth, auxiliary inputs and a rear view camera have been available, but that will depend on the year model and trim or the options fitted. Forget anything like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto being fitted as standard, that's never going to happen. But the good news is, because this is a pretty much a standard double-din head unit size, aperture here, fitting Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or any kind of modern infotainment system should be a breeze at a later date. Now, for all the details of which HiAce gets what levels of technology, just jump on ReDriven.com and check out that cheat sheet, or click the link in the description below. So is it practical? Well, it's a van, so obviously it's practical. The great thing about vans, not just the HiAce, is that they're kind of like they're a blank canvas for you to do whatever you want with. With this particular owner, they've gone and bought the most 70s mattresses you can and have made it into like a little apartment, which is great. But if you want it for a work van, great. Is it practical? Of course, yes. But to show you what's actually possible, these owners have fitted some storage under here like that, and I'll do that in a sec. Obviously storage there. Some delightful South Pacific style curtains. A little bit of a shelving unit up here. There's the battery pack behind the driver's seat which powers this fridge. There's storage under here, storage under here, storage under here. Bloody awesome. Okay, and practicality up front. First of all, you have a specific banana holder just here. You've got a spot under the head unit up there, which is also specifically for a banana. There's a banana shelf down there. There's a banana holding area here in the glove box. There's 2 banana holder sections just up here, like that, very good. There's also banana holders here that look a bit like cup holders, but they're for bananas, and that way as well. These are a bit dirty actually, they've seen better days. There's also spots for bananas down in the door pocket here, but the problem is, you've got to kind of like dislocate your shoulder and your elbow to get your ReDriven water bottle out, or slide your banana in. There's also this, which is an ashtray for those that smoke. Disgusting. Stop smoking, it's gross. You're better than that. Also, this particular HiAce has the system where the center seat becomes like a little storage area, or in this case, a banana display area. You can display your banana there, you can flip this forward, display your banana there. Probably get a group of bananas back here, and there are even more banana holders there, which could also be used for your ReDriven water bottle. And a spot for another one just here, a spot for a lolly banana here, and a spot for a Lebanese cucumber just here. Okay, so what goes wrong with these things? We're going to cover the mechanical stuff in a second, but let's start with the exterior. Now, in terms of the exterior, luckily not a whole lot goes wrong with them. There are the odd sporadic reports that the door locking mechanisms can kind of fail or glitch out, or the windows can kind of freak out and not open and close. Super sporadic, guys, not what we would call common problems at all, but yeah, just make sure they work. Now, there are some reports of some rust around the tailgate area here, but again, it's sporadic. It's not what we would call common at all, but if you are in the market, check that out. Now, if the HiAce that you're looking at is fitted with any aftermarket accessories like this, or even any like, tradie stuff or driving lights, make sure it all works. You'd be amazed at how many people buy a vehicle that's fitted with aftermarket gear, but then don't test the stuff, and then only to find out later that the driving lights don't work or this thing falls off. Make sure that everything has been fitted professionally and correctly, and also just make sure that the equipment fitted is the best it can possibly be. Okay, common problems and issues inside the HiAce. Look, there are a few issues with, or reports that the airbags don't deploy even when there's a pretty decent frontal impact. The problem is the sensors were faulty. Toyota should have replaced that under service. It was a recall, so if you are looking at one of these, just make sure that those sensors have been fixed up. It was only in a tiny variety of HiAces, but just make sure it's been done, because that's bloody serious. Also, there are the typical reports that the standard infotainment systems are just a nightmare, it can glitch out, and they're utter shit. And there are very rare reports that some of the interior trim can have some issues, but again, guys, super sporadic, not common by any means. Now, guys, before we get into what mechanically can go wrong with these things, can I ask a favor? Can you hit those like, subscribe, and bell buttons if you're enjoying this video, and share the ReDriven name as much as possible, because we want to keep making these videos, and the best way we can do that is if you guys share and support us by doing those things. That'd be awesome. Okay, mechanically, what goes wrong with the HiAce? Well, the thing is, I'm not a qualified mechanic, so I'm not qualified to tell you, but Jim is.
The 1KD diesel is a pretty reliable workhorse, although not entirely without its problems. There's plenty of them out there with cracked pistons from faulty diesel injectors or diesel injector seal problems, which typically leads to an expensive rebuild. And they suffer from all the same problems that all the other common rail diesels have. They have clogged up EGRs, clogged up inlet systems, and the occasional DPF and turbo complication. Look, there are huge numbers of these things out there, and you actually don't have to look too far to find their problems. But statistically, they are very reliable. And if you service them regularly and do the timing belt when it's due at 150,000 Ks and put a set of injectors in it at 200,000 Ks, chances are it'll get you to 400,000 Ks and beyond. And it's a similar story with the 2.7 litre petrols. We see the odd problem with a cracked manifold or a coolant leak here and there, and in very rare occasions a head gasket issue, but if they're well serviced, they will last forever. It's worth considering too that the petrol, although it is less fuel efficient than the diesel, in the unlikely event of a catastrophic failure, the petrol will be cheaper to fix. The transmissions are fairly good, although we do see a few problems with the autos over 300,000 Ks, and the diffs need fresh oil every 40,000 Ks if you want them to last. Unlike a lot of other cars that randomly break even when they are well serviced, these HiAces, if they're serviced regularly, will last and last.
So, is it safe? Well, look, there's no bonnet as such, and therefore your legs make up a lot of the crash structure of the car. And if you hit anything bigger than a pigeon at more than 40 k an hour, you might genuinely be killed. So, interesting on safety. Look, for an overview of the safety tech in this car, here's me doing a voiceover as fast as I possibly can. Standard safety features on the HiAce include dual front airbags, seatbelt pretensioners and load limiters, ABS and emergency brake assist, but both were included post 2011, while electronic stability control, hill start assist control and an emergency stopping signal appeared as standard from 2015. And again, for all of the details of which HiAce gets what safety tech and equipment, just jump on ReDriven.com and check out that cheat sheet. Okay, so what's it like to drive? Well, look, I'm going to be honest. Out on these country roads, it can be a little terrifying. Look, personally, I love driving this thing, but in saying that, I love downhill mountain biking and skydiving. But if you're not a fan of feeling like you might lose your legs at any moment, maybe the HiAce isn't for you. Look, that's being way too dramatic. It isn't really that bad, but because like the world is rushing towards you right there, it certainly keeps your attention. Like, especially when you include the fact that it sort of bounces all over the place, and because the front wheel's directly underneath you, even like small little adjustments, your entire being kind of moves side to side, so you're always very much at one with the driving experience. Look, around town it's super easy to drive, it's pretty easy to maneuver, the steering is light and it's kind of accurate in its own way. But look, no one's buying a HiAce for the nuance of its driving dynamics. Look, overall, it's just kind of old school van to drive. Like, it's noisy, it's rattly, it's kind of pretty bloody slow. It feels like even the slightest breeze could knock you off course, and I love it. But look, in saying that, over a long trip, it can become very tiring very quickly. And if you're driving one of these in the wet with nothing in the back and you get to some corners, it can get pretty sketchy pretty quickly. So you need to have your wits about you at all times. As far as performance goes, look, yeah, it is definitely on the slow side, but because there's just so much going on, it's so involving, it's really satisfying to get it up to speed. Again, look, I love it, but if you're after a soothing, relaxing van to drive, maybe a HiAce isn't for you. Pricing here in Australia kicks off from around about $10,000, but a $10,000 HiAce is going to have lived a hell of a life. At the other end of the spectrum, you're going to be looking at around about $60,000 for the most recent mint condition examples with low kilometres. $60,000 for a van blows my mind. Obviously, it's due to the current inflated used car pricing at the moment, but 60 grand, that's insane. Something like Vinny here, a 2009 model in pretty good condition with over 200,000 Ks on it, you're going to be looking anywhere from 20 to about 23 grand. Now, we should mention that Toyotas traditionally hold on to their value really, really, really well, which is something a lot of their European competitors fail at dismally. And why that is, we mentioned in this video just up here, this is our Transporter review video. It kind of covers some of the foibles of European vans. Toyota claim a fuel consumption figure of anywhere between 8.4 to 12.4 litres per 100 Ks. Vinny here has claimed it drinking 11.6 litres per 100 Ks, but he's a fair bit thirstier than that. He's drinking well over 13. Toyota offered their typically underwhelming 3-year 100,000 kilometre warranty on these HiAces, but some of these H200 HiAces did just sneak into receiving the 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. Toyota upgraded that on I think it was the 1st of January 2019. Servicing is recommended at, again, typical Toyota regular, every 6 months or 10,000 Ks. But it should be noted that there are plenty of examples of these that have been serviced regularly that can easily do more than 500,000 kilometres. So look, yeah, the servicing is regular, but if you keep the servicing up, they'll last forever. Toyota also offer, at least here in Australia, an unparalleled level of support. We've read multiple stories of HiAces in far off regional lands still being able to get parts and support easily. Okay, so should you buy one? Well, that really depends on how much punishment you enjoy. See, if you want a van that, when maintained correctly, offers truly incredible reliability and may genuinely outlast humanity, a HiAce is the way to go. The problem is, you'll be signing up to a pretty utilitarian driving experience, pretty underwhelming levels of tech, minimal creature comforts, and some questionable levels of safety. If you're okay with embracing all of these sort of old school van characteristics, then yes, you should buy a HiAce. But if comfort, technology, refined driving dynamics, and still having legs after the unfortunate event of an accident are higher on your list of priorities than, say, reliability, longevity, an ability to retain value, and an unparalleled level of nationwide support, then no, you probably shouldn't buy a HiAce. Look, for me, a van has to be a practical workhorse with absolutely bulletproof reliability. So for me personally, yes, I would buy a HiAce, but I get why you wouldn't. But look, just don't rush in and buy a van from a European manufacturer, because that can open a whole other can of worms. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and hey, what did you think of the HiAce? Let us know in those comments below. And remember, can you please hit those like, subscribe and bell buttons and share ReDriven as much as you can, because the more of that you do, the more of these we can make, and hopefully that'd be awesome. See you next time. HiAce owners groups, yes, they actually do exist. We've spoken to Toyota. HiAce owners groups, yes, they actually do exist. We've spoken to some come on, brain. They actually do exist. We've spoken to specialist Toyota technicians. I've done this a million times. Here we go. So this video is basically, no, I've missed the whole section of that. Right, here we go. Yep, got it, easy. Here we go, this is the one. Brain is now on. Probably more dramas hiding under the skin than what I've gone totally blank. I've gone off the rails. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Off. Toyota also, at least here in Australia, offer a what the fuck is on my arm? Sorry, I was trying to ignore it, but it was freaking me out. Off. Sorry.